All right, hello. My name is Jason Gear. I live in Havre, Montana. We're north central Montana. We're 111 miles north of Great Falls and about 44 miles south of the Canadian border. And today I'm going to be talking about birding. We got a lot of great opportunities around this area for birding, and I'm an amateur enthusiast when it comes to doing that kind of stuff. There's going to be 3 different locations. The first one is here at Sands Lake. We're just barely on the outside of town, across from a tractor dealership on US 87 called Big Equipment. I'm just right across the highway from there. Actually, if I look over the camera, I can see a bunch of tractors and sprayers and ag equipment. Now this area here is Sands Lake, and the next area I'm going to go to is going to be First Lake down in Beaver Creek Park, which is 10 miles south of Havre, and it takes me about I don't know, 20 minutes to get there from my home. And I would take you guys out to a few other places and show you what they look like, but we're just having a bunch of snow recently and it melted, and a lot of those back roads are really muddy, and we want to be cautious about getting stuck or even damaging those roads by driving on them before they fully dry out. So I'm going to go over some of the basics of what I use for birding. If you want to stick around and listen to that, that's great. If not, you can fast forward. I'll have it down in the comments where you can fast forward to just the footage of the birds in the different locations. So first thing I'm going to start off with is equipment, and as you can see on my chest I have my binoculars. They are 10 power binoculars, and I really enjoy these. These are Vortex, and I got a little chest pouch with them, which is nice when I'm out walking around. I don't have to carry them. All I got to do is, this is magnetic, I just pop it up, it's nice and quiet, and then I'm in action on the birds, looking at them. And then when I'm not looking at a bird, I can just stow them right away, and also it helps keep the rain off of them and some of the dirt as well. And the next thing I would be looking at is in regards to optics is a spotting scope. I certainly don't pack that in areas where I'm really mobile a lot. Just use a spotting scope. I have a bean bag that I can drape over my door on my vehicle, or I got some mounts where I can mount it to a tripod. Just it's big, bulky, but if you really want to get a good look at the birds, and they're mostly stationary, you certainly can't move very fast with the spotting scope. That is very handy. The one I have right here, this is a really nice one. I enjoyed. It's a Vortex. It's a good, solid, kind of a mid-range optics. There's obviously more expensive ones out there. If you can purchase the best glass you can afford, it'll just make your birding experience that much better. Yeah, so this is a good piece of equipment. And when I was talking about beanbag over my windowsill, this is a big one that I just drape right over, and then I can lay my stuff right on top of that, so I can get a nice steady rest. And I even use this for when I'm taking pictures with a big zoom lens, because you definitely need to have it steady for getting good, clear pictures. All right, next thing for supporting optics and your camera when you're out birding is a window mount. These are very handy. I really enjoy this one. Fairly inexpensive. This one here is like 50-60 bucks or something, so very nice to have these. All right, next things I like to pack along when I'm birding. I have a couple different books that I use. This one here is Birds of Western North America. This is specific to my area, and really hasn't been very many that I haven't been able to find in here. But when you have the different color phases and molting and juveniles and morphs going on, sometimes this book isn't detailed enough to identify some of those harder ones. But for the most part, it's pretty good. It's good pictures, a little short description about the birds and behavior and what they sound like. Very nice. I will this book here and the next one I will have linked down below in the descriptions. They're not affiliate links, but if you just want to find them real quick, you can certainly look at them there. But this is my go-to for when I really can't figure out what the bird is in this book. The Sibleys are probably one of the foremost encyclopedias of birds. This is crazy detailed, and have really helped me better identify the birds that I've had trouble with. But they're more drawings instead of actual pictures, and like I said, most of the ones I can find in the other book are pretty good, but this is my go-to for the really hard ones to figure out. Now, another book that I use quite a bit is a map book. It shows private and public lands and topography, and yeah, when I'm out exploring, I certainly want to use this, plan my trips ahead of time so I know where I'm going, etc. But for basic birding equipment, that's pretty much it. I do take a lot of pictures of birding, but I really won't get into that a whole bunch. All right, so first location is here at Sands Lake. Second location is going to be at First Lake, and depending on when I get back home, I may do some in the backyard. I got a feed station set up there, and I get a lot of in-town birds, which is a lot different than what I see out in the countryside, in the water areas and stuff. So, all right, today when we start hitting the 3 different locations, mainly we're going to be focused on waterfowl, and whatever I see in transition, we may get some footage of some raptors or whatnot. But we got a lot of geese, a lot of ducks that are coming in. It's kind of windy today, so they're sheltered up. They're not out in the open water nearly as much, so they'll probably be hugging the shore or even up on the bank quite a bit, hiding in the grass, getting out of the wind instead of fighting all the wind and the waves and such. So, all right, something I wanted to cover real quick when it comes to going out and looking at these birds. Like I said before, I'm here at the Sands Lake. I've had more success when I can stay in the vehicle and look at the birds, because as soon as I get out, they tend to migrate away from me. They will start moving away. They really don't like it when you're on foot or outside of the vehicle. So if you're able to, for these migratory birds that are, waterfowl, geese, so if you're able to observe these birds from a distance, certainly stay in the vehicle if you can, or try to sneak up on them the best you can to get the best view. I know that they can be quite skittish when you're out and about. Another thing that I use quite often, mainly for photography, is I use a blind. Now would be nice if as soon as I set the blind up, I had birds and stuff all around me and animals and whatnot, but that's not always the case. It's been my experience when using a blind that I have to sit in that blind, get it set up and sit in it. This is just from a cold start. It takes about an hour for the area to calm down, and then the birds start coming around a lot more. In the backyard, in town, they're more used to things going on, so 15-20 minutes and usually they're in there. But when I'm out of town where it's more wild and not as many people, it takes a good solid hour before things settle down. Now when it comes to the waterfowl, it seems like the ducks are a lot more accepting of a blind, to where the geese are extremely cautious of that. I sat out here probably for 3 hours the other day in a blind, and the geese never once really got as close as I would have liked for some good shots. But the ducks, within about an hour's time, they were in there. I had some killdeer coming around, and some various raptors that were just hunting along the shoreline. They didn't seem to mind the blind nearly as much. So yeah, so with that being said, I just wanted to get that out there today. We're mainly going to be focused on waterfowl, and most of my shots will be from the vehicle. I'll have a good support there, and also out of the wind, which will be helpful, and also the birds will be a lot less spooky as well. All right, thank you. All right, so we're here at our second location in Beaver Creek Park. We're what, I don't know, about 10 miles south of Havre, and it takes about 20 minutes for me to get from my house to here. Real nice place. Roads are usually really good even if they're a little wet out, so it's a good place to check out. Now the birds aren't typically as concentrated here as they are at Sands Lake. I do find the majority of the birds that I see here at the south end of the reservoir, but as I circle the perimeter of the reservoir, I will see several different small groups, and it's definitely worth checking the area out.